Saturday's hot air balloon crash was less than 50 feet from a much different ending. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A broadcast engineer who responded to this scene says coming into contact with the tower's antenna further up could have meant instant death for those on board. That radio tower is near the intersection of FM 1844 and Gilmer Road in Gregg County, just to the north of Longview. KLTV7's Katie Parker has more tonight on how getting tangled in a guy wire may have saved lives.
A little puff of wind shooting 50 feet higher would have been a completely different story.
43 feet.
They came awfully close to a grave situation.
That's the distance, keeping Saturday's hot air balloon collision from becoming an instant tragedy.
What's the odds of impacting the tower right below the antenna?
KYKX broadcast engineer Sans Hawkins responded to Saturday's call.
Not knowing where it had impacted the tower, I knew that the quickest thing would be to turn off the transmitter because I knew 100,000 watts was being radiated from our antenna, putting anybody's life at risk.
He says had there been any metal involved if the balloon touched the tower's antenna, life-threatening circumstances would have been certain.
It could have arced and the balloon could have gone up in flames, which then all ropes and whatnot holding the balloon basket in place, the basket would plunge to the earth.
Contact with the antenna wasn't the only threat. If the balloon entered the direction the antenna was facing, it would have exposed the passengers to the radio frequency radiation.
It would literally send your body temperatures up to 104, 110, 115 degrees. Your blood would just practically boil.
At first glance, it appears the balloon initially made contact with a guy wire connected to the ground. However, Hawkins says the tangle came after the crash.
The way I see this, actually could have helped them.
Hawkins says if the balloon material had been solely attached to the tower, the strain from the basket weight would have caused the balloon to rip apart, sending everything to the ground.
Knowing how much tension is on that guy wire, look how much it is creased. It's taking most of the load, which tells me the tower's not.
People thought that that was the reason they got stuck, but that actually could have been the reason they stayed up.
Yes.
A perfect storm of consequences kept the balloon lower than the antenna and close enough to the guy wire, saving the balloonist from catastrophe.
I've been in broadcasting for 40 years, and I have never in my life ever witnessed this. This was a miracle.
Katie Parker, KLTV 7 News.
Unbelievable. Hawkins says KYKX radio listeners may still experience broadcast outages as the repair work continues. The guy wire that was attached to the balloon needs to be retensioned, and the tower must be powered down to make sure everyone stays